Long ago, after the great war at Troy, a brave Greek hero named Odysseus tried to return home to Ithaca, where his wife Penelope and son Telemachus waited for him. The journey should have been simple, but the gods and the sea had other plans. Odysseus's journey took 10 long years, filled with monsters, magic, and tests of courage. Soon after leaving Troy, Odysseus and his men landed on the island of the Cicones. They fought bravely but stayed too long, and the local warriors drove them back to their ships with heavy losses. Then a terrible storm sent them off course, and they arrived at the land of the Lotus Eaters. These people offered Odysseus' men a sweet flower that made them forget home. Odysseus had to drag his friends back to the ships to keep them from staying forever. Next, they reached the island of the Cyclopes, one-eyed giants. The most dangerous was Polyphemus, who trapped Odysseus and his men in a cave. Clever as he was strong, Odysseus told the Cyclops his name was Nobody, then blinded him with a sharp stake after getting him drunk. When Polyphemus called for help, he could only say, "Nobody is hurting me," allowing Odysseus and his men to escape under the bellies of sheep. Their journey continued to the island of Aeolus, the keeper of the winds. Aeolus gave Odysseus a bag containing all winds except the west wind, which would guide them home. But his men, thinking the bag held treasure, opened it. The winds escaped, and they were blown far away. They then passed the island of the Laestrygonians, giant cannibals who destroyed all the ships except Odysseus. Later, they arrived at Circe's island. Circe, a powerful witch, turned some men into pigs. With Hermes' help, Odysseus resisted her magic, and she eventually welcomed them, giving advice for their journey ahead. Circe told Odysseus he must visit the underworld to speak with the prophet Tiresias. In the land of the dead, he learned the dangers still ahead, including the sirens, whose singing lured sailors to their deaths, and the dangers of Scylla and Charybdis, two monsters who guarded a narrow strait. Odysseus carefully navigated past the sirens by plugging his men's ears with wax and tying himself to the mast so he could listen without jumping overboard. Then he sailed past Scylla, a six-headed monster, losing a few men, and avoided Charybdis, a deadly whirlpool, by steering close to Scylla. The journey grew harder when they landed on the island of the sun god, Helios. Despite Odysseus' warnings, his men killed and ate the sacred cattle. Helios demanded justice, and Zeus destroyed their ship with a storm. All the men drowned, leaving Odysseus alone. He drifted to the island of the nymph Calypso, who fell in love with him and kept him prisoner for 7 years. Eventually, the gods commanded her to let him go. Odysseus built a raft and sailed again, only to be shipwrecked on the island of the Phaeacians. These kind people helped him finally reach Ithaca. At last, Odysseus returned home, but Ithaca was in chaos. Suitors had taken over his house, hoping to marry Penelope and claim his throne. Disguised as a beggar, Odysseus observed them carefully. With the help of his son Telemachus and a few loyal servants, he devised a plan. He strung his great bow, an impossible task for anyone else, and shot an arrow through 12 axe heads, proving his identity. Then he and his allies defeated the suitors in battle. Afterward, Odysseus revealed himself to Penelope, who tested him to make sure it was truly her husband. Finally, the long years of struggle and waiting were over. Odysseus had returned home not only as a hero, but as a man who had faced the wrath of gods, monsters, and the challenges of fate, proving that courage, cleverness, and patience could overcome even the greatest obstacles.